let's start over. Hello, today is, April 23rd. Our agenda is questions about the calendar or anything in Canvas, questions about journal entries for chapter 3. Monopoly is due tomorrow night. Monopoly peer audits will be released Thursday morning, and you'll be due, I think it's Friday night. I have Saturday there. Plan 45 minutes, it may go faster. And then if you have corrections, if you don't, leave your Monopoly alone. If you have corrections, you can upload a second corrected version of Monopoly. Your practice exam is due Sunday. I want to go over how that works. And then we have our review session next Tuesday. Session Tuesday. And that date is going to be 4:30, 24, and then our exam is Wednesday, 5/1. All right, and let's let more people into the room. Admit all. And we've got a question here. Ha ha. All right, I'll take that. So this is our agenda today. And then I always ask you guys put either call out or put in the chat if you have additional items. See what you've got. Anything in the chat? Do you have other items? What are your questions? Anything, Trey, Ava, Vanessa, Divine, or Ella? Okay. Exam format. That's a good question. All right, so let's talk about that. Thanks, Ava. Anybody else? Want that? About the Monopoly, are we supposed to do it individually or as a group? You do it individually. So we'll go over review instructions, do individually. Okay, all right. What is most urgent for you guys? Exam, chapter 3, or Monopoly? Can you guys put it in the chat? What is most urgent? Monopoly, exam, chapter 3. Chapter 3 and Monopoly. Monopoly and exam. Thank you, Ava. Thank you, Divine. Thank you, Ella. Exam 2, yeah. Trey, what's urgent for you, Trey? Monopoly. Okay, let's start with Monopoly. I think that's because it's due tomorrow night. Okay. So let's go to the Monopoly instructions. Now, Monopoly will make more sense to you after you do chapter 3. Let's call up the homework here real quick. I mean the calendar. So if we look at the calendar, we got more people coming in, yay. Okay. So we look at the calendar for your class, for our class. Let's get rid of accounting 203. Okay, so we're here. I don't understand. Oh, that's somebody needing to take an early quiz. That's not you guys. Okay, so Monopoly's due, chapter 3 homework here, and your quiz is Friday. Okay, all right. So basically this week, we're wrapping up chapter 3. You're doing the Monopoly mini project, and then you roll into the weekend with just final corrections to Monopoly, and then really start preparing and studying for our Unit 1 exam. But let's go look here. All right. All right, and thank you, Ava, for seeing that I had bad dates in here. They're now fixed. All right, so I have a couple of videos, a walkthrough here, and a longer video kind of walking through what's going on. But essentially everything you need is in this worksheet. Call me if you have questions, drop in if you have questions. So I'm really happy you guys are here. So we're going to download this. Let's download it. We don't need it online. And Monopoly. So let's enable editing. Can you guys see them? Can you see this Excel? Yes or no?
No.
All right, let's take a look. Let's go back to Zoom and share screen. Okay,
We can see it now.
great. Okay, so this is, if you have a Mac or an iPad, you just need to make sure you save it in the right format. Otherwise, I can't open it and neither can your peer. All right. So that becomes pretty tricky. So, and if you want me to check after you upload it, I will check right away to make sure we can open it. I usually do on Thursday morning I check, but by then it's too late. All right. So there's a free game online. If you have a Monopoly board game, you can play at home with another person, but you're only recording your own transactions. Okay. All right. So go out right away and just practice on the website if you haven't before. But let me go over the assignment briefly. So your assignment is to complete a screenshot of what you did online. And there's a tab for that and some additional instructions. Leave the chart of accounts alone. I just want you to review it. This is where you're doing the work. Log and journal entry, T accounts, statements and ratios, and key ratios. Okay, peer audit is done separately. All right. So if we look at this, so screenshot would be, you just take a picture. You guys know how to do screenshots, and you take a picture at the end. I think at the beginning of the game and at the end of the game. So we would just want to see what it says there. And it's going to look a little different. The game online is all black and white, and they don't have pictures. So it's a pretty simple game board. We have a chart of accounts. Now you guys have already worked with a chart of accounts in chapters 1 and 2, a list of accounts, and you learned which one was an asset, a liability, stockholders' equity, revenue type accounts, and expense accounts. You use that data to create income statement, retained earnings, and a classified balance sheet in chapter 2. Okay. So that should not be new to you. What is new with chapter 3 is learning the rules of debit and credit. Okay. So that part of it is new for chapter 3 and learning how to make journal entries. Okay. So here's the deal. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 accounts. And I only want you to use these accounts. Okay. So you start out the game and every person starts out with $1,500. Okay. That's how Monopoly works. You start out the game with $1,500 and then you roll the dice and you land on property and you either buy property or you don't. And usually students go ahead and buy the property because you want to get 25 transactions. Okay. Once you're done with your 25 transactions, you add them up. If it's a positive transaction, you put a plus here and you make the number positive. If it's a negative number, let's say it's a minus 300, and then you just show that it's minus here. And then you put your description, purchased, whatever, X property, whatever the title of the property is, okay? Get to the bottom and you add up your numbers. All right. Now from there, you're going to create journal entries. And I've already created the first journal entry for you. So we brought cash into the company. Cash increases. Let's check the chart of accounts. The normal balance for cash is a debit. That means when we increase cash, we debit it. It's on the left side of the T account. So when we build our journal entry, we debit cash. And where did the money come from? It owners, so common stock. So let's go look at our chart of accounts. Common stock is a stockholders' equity account. We increase stockholders' equity with a credit. Okay. And I'm going to review debits and credits today also, but I just kind of want to give you a brief walkthrough here. So let's continue the exercise. So after you've done all your journal entries, you're going to post them to the T accounts. Each account has its own T account. All right. Cash has a T account. Common stock has a T account. So I've gone ahead and posted this first transaction. You will post the remaining 24. You will book the remaining, first you will have the remaining 24 transactions on your log sheet. Then you will create journal entries, and then you will post your journal entries to the individual T account. So here's the asset cash, and its T account is bigger because it has a lot of transactions. What did I do there? Don't want that. We have transaction 1, and you put the transaction number there and the debit amount. And over here under stockholders' equity, we have common stock and retained earnings. Common stock was credited in the journal entry, so it goes on the right side, and we're still showing the transaction number. After 25 journal entries have been posted to the T accounts, you run a total, add up the debits, subtract the credits, and put the total on the debit side. And you do that for all the accounts. Then you go to the Statements tab and you build a trial balance, and you list your accounts in the order, chart of accounts order. So like, let's go back to the chart of accounts. First cash, then accounts receivable, then land, then building, then accounts payable, and so forth. If an account has a 0 balance, you don't list it. So let's say you have cash, but you don't have accounts receivable, and you just go right to land, something like that, okay? And then you list their balance all the way down. Then the way the trial balance works is you add up all the debits, put the total here, add up all the credits, put the total here. They should be the same. If they're not the same, you go back and check your work. Now you've got statements to do. You guys know how to do those. You build an income statement with subtotals, total revenue, total expenses, net income. You build a statement of retained earnings. Now, the beginning balance for retained earnings is always going to be 0 in this example, in this game, because you're starting Monopoly and you haven't ever played it before. But you will have net income, and you probably won't have dividends, and you'll calculate the ending balance. Then you come over here and you build a classified balance sheet. So let's go back to the chart of accounts. Cash and accounts receivable are current assets, but land and building are property, plant, and equipment. So be sure to segregate those. So you want current assets, and then you want to add a category, property, plant, and equipment, and put land and buildings here. If you don't have buildings, leave it blank. Okay, don't put it there. And then do all your subtotals under liabilities. You'll have accounts payable and so forth. Okay. Finally, you'll calculate working capital, current assets minus current liabilities. If it's zero, and it says it right here, show your calculation, but put undefined as the answer. Because remember from math, you can't divide by a 0. And then put your total revenue in a percent. So let's say your net income is 200 and your total revenues are 1,300, like that. So let's load it in. If your number comes out as a decimal, go up here in Excel and convert it to a percent, and then maybe add some decimals there. I like 2 decimals on all ratios, okay? All right. So that is your run through of Monopoly. I know it's a little fast. And let's go back, and let's go look at this game online. So hopefully I can get it to work. Sometimes I just got a new computer. All right, so here's the game of Monopoly. And this is a very busy. Does anybody have questions about the assignment before I start here? I gotta check my chat
I have
because,
I have one quick question.
yeah, go ahead, Ava.
Okay, so like the amount of money you end with after your 25th turn,
Mhm.
where should that pop up on any of the financial statements? Like which one would that correspond to?
So you're talking about the log sheet.
For the statements.
So you run through all your transactions and your balance, your total here is 5,000 or something, right?
And so that's the one you end with at the game, right?
Right, right. And
And
that should be on your screenshot.
uh-huh. And then where would that show up on the statement?
So something to remember is we only book the individual transactions. So like this would be a journal entry, this would be a journal entry, but totals are not journal entries. Okay. However, after you have posted all your journal entries to the T accounts, it's very likely that the total for cash will be the same as your total on your log sheet.
Okay.
But you don't just put it there, you have to put the individual transactions in.
Yeah, and I got that too. I'm just, the statements tab.
Yeah,
On any of the like the trial balance or the income statement or the retained earnings, would that amount show up
yeah,
as well?
because you'll list cash and then you'll list, let's say you had 1,300. That should be that is your total from your T account. And in most cases, it's going to be the same as your total on your log sheet.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. And then that cash will go over to your, of course, it'll be the first current asset that we have, right? So you'll have cash here. And let's say that, and you're just transferring that over from the trial balance. Okay. So remember, we prepare the statements from the trial balance. In chapters 1 and 2, you just got a list of the accounts and the dollar amounts. And now we actually work with the trial balance and we say, here's the debit accounts, here's the credit accounts. All right, so whoa, I don't know what that is. All right, so see how we have a bunch of players here. We don't really want 4 players, we want 2. And I would suggest a darker color. Let's make this person blue and this person red. Okay, now you are player number 1. And we're gonna you're not playing with another person, so you just play against the computer. Okay.
I don't see the Monopoly thing up right now.
Yeah, your Excel's the only function.
Oh, good. Thank you. Just holler out. It's not automatically updating to my screen. Let's see.
But I also have one more question.
Sure.
So if we made any trades, how would that get written
Let me
down?
let me do a quick demo here and then let's go to individual like trades. So
Okay.
do you have a choice of whether to do the trades?
Yeah, you do.
And you already said, yes, I want to do the trade, right?
Yeah, but if it's a big deal, I don't mind redoing it. So
Okay, okay. All right. So player number 1 is blue. Player number 2 is just the computer. The only transactions we're logging are what changes our cash account. So we'll start the game. And unfortunately, I've got a very busy screen and I apologize. So here's go. We always start go, right? But we haven't passed go. Passing go means you've come around the corner. All right. So the first thing we do in this game, maybe I can make it a little smaller, is we roll the dice, just like we would with a board game. So let's roll the dice. And what it says is player 1, roll 10 doubles. And unfortunately, that takes, and it moves for you. So here's player 1. You see that blue thing? And when you land on jail, you don't go to jail. You're just visiting. Okay. But because I got doubles, it tells me roll again. It's going to tell me I get to roll again. So in the game of Monopoly, if you roll doubles, you get another turn. So let's roll again. Okay. So it's telling me you rolled what is that, 11? So I'm way over here on Kentucky Avenue. Now I haven't had any transactions yet, and you don't want to be here all night. So I just tell students, just get your transactions as fast as possible. So I'm going to say, yes, I want to buy it. Now, while you're playing, you want to bring up, and this is $220. Don't leave the screen. Don't move forward on the screen. Just go back to your log sheet. And let's change that. I'm going to say I bought, it cost 220. And now I'm going to say purchased Kentucky Avenue. And I don't need to say property there, okay? So as you play, log your transactions. It's going to be easier. Now, I think there's a way to get a listing of all your transactions, and that's fine too, but I don't do it that way. All right, so now I'm going to say, yes, I want, but you have to tell the game you bought it. So I'm saying, yes, I bought it. Now, look up here and you can see player one has $1,500. The computer hasn't played yet, so it still has 1,500. Okay, let's buy it. And now my balance has gone down to 1,280, which makes sense. Okay. Now I say in turn, and the computer is playing. I don't care. It landed on free parking. I don't care. Oh my goodness, the computer keeps getting, it rolled doubles 3 times and the computer is sent to jail. That's good. All right, now it's my turn again. Roll the dice. All right, I landed on Atlantic Avenue. I'm going to buy it for 260. So I come back over here. And again, negative 260, negative, and it's purchased Atlantic Avenue. Okay. Now you can see I'm going through my 1,500, so I'm hoping I'm going to make some money soon. Okay. Wait a minute. You know what? Let me reshare that. New share. Okay. So here's where I've logged purchased Kentucky Avenue, and here's where I've logged purchased Atlantic Avenue. And I will have to add up my total for here. It's not automatically updating. Okay. All right. We have a chat question. What is it? When you buy a place, it's categorized as land, but if you add a house, it's considered property. Am I correct? Yes and no. So Callahan, let's look at the chart of accounts. Okay, I got that up. Share. Here's the chart of accounts. I've got land and I've got building. I do not have property. So I want you to use building for building and land for land. Okay, does that work? All right. Okay, so let's go back. So now I have 3 transactions, but of course I want more. So I'm going back to my Monopoly. I'm going to buy Atlantic. I've already logged it. And I'm going to end my turn. And now the computer's in jail. The computer rolled an 8. Okay, now it's my turn again because the computer isn't out of jail. Okay, so I'm going to roll the dice. I get $25 on community chest. That's just random. Yes, you record this. Okay. I want to do about 3 more transactions and then I'll stop and take individuals. So I got community chest. So I go back to my spreadsheet and I'm going to record that I got cash. So cash goes up $25. That's a plus. And you just say community chest. Okay. So I've recorded my initial 1,500 and debit cash. I increased cash. I spent cash. That's going to be a credit to cash. I spent cash again. That's going to be a credit to cash. And I got free money from community chest. That's a debit to cash. All right. So new share. Let's go back to Monopoly. And I'm going to say, okay. Now you can see my cash balance is now 1,045. All right. So in my turn, it's computer one's turn. And computer one landed on chance. Okay. And here it says advance to the nearest utility. If owned, throw dice and pay the owner. Okay. They landed on waterworks, computer one. We don't really care what the computer's doing, to be honest. Sure, we'll buy it. Okay. Community chest, go to jail, do not pass go, do not collect 200. All right, so now I'm in jail. And so I have an option in turn. I can pay $50 to get out of jail or I have to roll doubles. Okay. You are in jail. It's very sad. Okay, in turn. And now the computer is landing. We're getting a lot of chance cards. Okay. This is his second turn in jail. So you have 3 turns and then you're out of jail again. You are in jail, pay the fine. I'm going to pay the fine. Okay. So let's go back here. And new share. Share. Okay, now I'm going to pay, I chose to pay the fine, 50. Fine. Oops, I can't spell today. All right. Okay. New share. Go back. All right. So you guys get the idea. Now we're going to be watching this balance up here because I don't want to run out of money either, but I do need my 25 transactions. Okay. So now I've landed on Virginia Avenue, and yes, I'm going to buy it. That's 160. So let me record it. Minus 160. Purchased Virginia Ave. Okay. New share. And I feel like I've missed a transaction. Did I miss a transaction? No, I didn't miss a transaction. Okay, let's do. So I'm way over here. If I had not gone to jail when I was on this side, but I did go to jail, if I had passed go, I would have gotten $200. Okay. And then I would have increased cash 200. And in my description, I would say passed go. Okay. So you're just tracking until you get your 25 transactions. All right. So buy that. All right. Okay. So question. So go ahead. Who had the question on trades? Trey, go ahead and ask that question.
Yeah, so
How was it worded?
Here, I'll put it in the chat. But I traded 2 of my properties for 2 other properties and some cash. So I'm wondering how you put that down in the logbook and everything else.
Absolutely. Okay. So you traded Vermont and Park Place, and you got Pennsylvania and B&O Railroad, and you got 25 cash.
Mhm.
Okay. So what you would do is you would say, for what you traded, you could even list them as 2 transactions. Okay. For what you traded, cash would go down, the balance would go down. And let's just do the math. How much was Vermont Avenue? What's the value in Vermont Avenue? So Vermont is 100. Make sure I've got it.
Oh, I bought it for 85 because the computer didn't have enough money.
Oh, okay. You bought it for 85.
Yeah.
Did they let you do that?
Yeah, because it goes to like bidding if the computer doesn't have enough money.
Okay, so your value was 85. Okay. Oh, they couldn't do it and you bid on it. Okay, and then
Yeah.
Park Place, you bought for how much? The full price originally?
350.
Yeah. Okay. Park Place, 350. And you got Pennsylvania Avenue, which was worth 320. And you got B&O Railroads, which was what, 200? Yeah. So you would have land would go down for what you traded, land would go up for what you received, and you could do it as 2 transactions. Cash would go down $25. And it looks like you made money on this deal. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because what you traded was like worth $435, and what you got, including the $25, was like $545. So you take the difference to miscellaneous revenue. Okay.
Good.
So Let's write that out so you know what you're doing here. Just do a blank. Okay. So he's saying he had Vermont and Park Place. He bought Pennsylvania and B&O. So Vermont went down 85. Park Place went down 350. Pennsylvania Avenue was worth 320. B&O was worth 200. And you also just got some cash in the deal of $25. Okay. So you made a really good deal. So then the balance would go to miscellaneous revenue. Okay. So how would you
Okay.
record that as a transaction? I mean, you'd have to just write that in the description. Okay. So like under the log sheet, you just say, let's see, what would you just write 110 plus. Okay. And then in the journal entry, you would write land, cash, and miscellaneous revenue. And let's make that look like a journal entry. Okay. So the difference in land that you got, you made a very good deal. Land went up $85. That's the net difference between 520 and 435. Cash went up $25 and miscellaneous revenue went up $110. Okay. Because that's the net increase in your land value.
I see.
So you traded off something. Boy, whoever accepted that trade was not very smart. You traded off something that was worth $435, right?
Mhm.
You gave that away. And they turned around and gave you land that was worth $520. Such is real estate. And they gave you another $25. So, and they gave you that. So you made a good deal. Okay. All right. If you don't want to do that transaction, just don't do it. Don't do a trade. If you're playing Monopoly for the first time, do not do trades. You're just a little more, I mean, the basic transactions are so simple, and then you throw a trade in and it gets a little complicated. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
You bet. All right. So, all right. So what I have seen happen to students in playing this game, I have seen students have their computers crash and have to start over. So give yourself some time to get all your transactions. Once you've got your transactions, you can just work in the Excel file, but you've got to get your 25 transactions. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm going to shut this down. It's going to tell me why, but that's okay. All right. Anything else on Monopoly? Any other questions? All right.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Yelena.
Can you show in the Excel spreadsheet, the second part? Here, I'm trying to. Like when we're doing the journal entries, once you buy a property, is the first thing that you're debiting cash, and then the second line that's indented, would that be under land or building?
So let's go back to the chart of accounts. And looking at my first transaction, purchased Kentucky Avenue for 220. Okay. What happened to cash here in that 220? Did it go up or down?
Decrease?
Decreased. Okay, great. Okay. So let's look at the chart of accounts. We increase cash with a debit. We decrease cash with a credit. Okay. What did we buy? We bought Kentucky Avenue. And what category is that here?
Land?
Yeah. So did land go up? Did land go down?
Up.
So we increased land with a debit, okay? So for this transaction, we would list land first because that's the account we're debiting, and cash went down, so we're crediting it. Okay,
And also always in that order where we do the debit first and then the credit.
yeah, and then in your description, purchased Kentucky. Okay.
Mhm.
And then I'm kind of modeling here to skip a line between journal entries. It's just easier to read.
Okay.
Let's see, we got another. Everyone, yes, Divine. Everybody gets 1,500. Otherwise, you can't play because you need money to play.
I have a question, Professor.
Yeah.
So when filling out the journal entries, will there be an instance where we won't be using the account land since we're buying just properties on the board?
So every time you buy property, it's going to be land. Okay. So can you think of another situation?
Like if we were to buy houses on our properties that like elevate the price, would that be building?
That would be building, yeah. But let's say you buy a B&O Railroad. It's not really land, it's a rolling stock, but go ahead and use land for now. Just keep it simple. Let's say you buy waterworks or the utility company, call it land. Just we're keeping it very simple.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. So there won't really be a reason to use accounts receivable or accounts payable in this case.
I don't think so unless, so here's what I told Yelena yesterday. So let's say you come to the log and you get down to your total and you are negative. At the point you go negative, you start using accounts payable because you didn't have any cash. But I think most of you will be okay with that.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
You bet. And again, Monopoly sort of ideally makes chapter 3 make more sense because you have a real example of transactions going up or down. So you just really want to be on that chart of accounts and use it and get really familiar with it. If I tell you I bought land by next Wednesday, I want you to think that's a debit. Land went up. I bought land, I paid cash, cash went down. I bought land on credit, land went up, but cash wasn't affected. Accounts payable was affected. Okay. So let's take a look, and we've got just a few more minutes. Let's take a quick look at journal entries if you guys want. I don't know what would be helpful. So oh, what about the practice exam? Let me go over that format with you guys first. Okay. So I'm home. Let's see, what do you see? No, I don't want that. I want new share. Okay, can you see my canvas?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Yelena. I really appreciate you guys chiming in. So see how it's all blue here. Chapter 3, similar to all the others, you have your homework, you have your quiz and so forth. Project is in here, the Monopoly. Now we're adding account ID quiz and the practice exam because this is the last chapter in unit 1. So the last chapter in each of the units will have the account ID quiz for that unit and the practice exam. Okay. So the practice exam, if you can do it, I know a lot of you don't have printers, but you can come to campus and print things. Print out the practice exam because the exam is written. There are no multiple choice on the exam. None. Okay. Zip. So you will be doing problems with lots of pencil work. So let's take a look at the practice exam. Now, I want to caution you, the exam will not be identical to the practice exam, okay? Okay, you can see that, right? You can see the practice exam. You'll have a short essay. We'll go over the essay next week. I want you to do account identification, do some of the find the missing number problems, and trial balance worksheet, journal entries, and that statement. Where you see balance sheet, I want you to know that that means classified balance sheet. So what should you do to study? Go to the back of the chapter. They do have pretty good multiple choice questions at the back of the chapter with solutions. They have questions throughout the chapter with solutions. And then at the end of the chapter, they have just theory questions that are, there's not going to be a lot of theory on the test. It's mostly problems. I leave the theory for the quizzes. And then do the short exercise. Those are a real good source for practice questions for studying. So here is a whole list of all the accounts we've learned, and you're going to categorize them. So accounts payable, it's either on the income statement or the balance sheet or neither. So in the chat, tell me income statement, IS, balance sheet, BS, or neither. So go ahead and answer it. Do a direct message to me. And tell me where you would put accounts payable. Is it a balance sheet account or an income statement account? You guys can see I have 2 answers. I'm not going to check because I just got a new monitor and I can't use 2 screens yet. So
Can I ask you a question real quick?
Mhm.
I'm trying to download the practice exam and
Mhm.
it's saying that this topic is locked until April 24th. It's not giving me that link.
Yeah. That's right. It'll be you get a whole week to do it, but not more than a week. So it'll be free tomorrow.
Oh, so it's just coming up tomorrow?
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, I've got 3 answers. Let's go check them. Balance sheet, balance sheet, balance sheet. Oh, I got more than that. Balance sheet. Yay, everybody. Hooray. Okay. So we've reduced it. So it's a liability account. What is the normal balance for liability accounts, debit or credit? It's a credit, and I can see Callahan already put C in there for credit. So that's how you'd answer the sheet. So you tick this off. Accounts receivable. Which statement is it on? And is the normal balance debit or credit? Okay. So that's just kind of a drill sheet. Your account ID quiz is just that. It's multiple choice, 20 accounts, income statement, balance sheet, neither debit or credit. Okay. And let's move down here. So I'm going to shut this down. This first practice, exercise 2 is create journal entries. So in your PowerPoint, there are 13 journal entries. Just make sure you know how to do them. So a lot of students will put the journal entry prompt on one side of a flashcard and then the answer on the other and use that to memorize, okay? And then here I'm saying use these accounts. And I have a journal entry form for you. Here I give you a list of accounts and I say create income statement, retained earnings, and a classified balance sheet. So even though I say balance sheet, I mean classified balance sheet, okay? Here we have an essay question and I've highlighted revenue. This is a company. Here's their total revenue for 3 years, 3 years of financial statements. This is called a pillar format, so we can get 3 years of data. And down here is net income, okay, for 3 years. 121, 184, 270. And it's 2011, 2012, and 2013. So right off the bat, you can tell me net income is growing. And then here's my instructions. Discuss either total revenue or net income for the 3 years and discuss the trends. Was the trend favorable, unfavorable, or neutral? And then use numeric evidence and percentage growth rates to support what you said. And then just a quick summary sentence, okay? And then here's more practice. Income statement, retained earnings, classified balance sheet, more and more forms, okay? So this is not, and then here's some algebra problems that are also in our course pack. And you need to know how to do those. So this, let me see if I can rotate this. That would be just so awesome.
I have a question regarding the essay.
Mhm.
So, are there any example essays provided on Canvas so we have something to look off of?
There will be when I post the solutions, and we'll go over this in class next, or not class, in the review session next week. But essentially, you calculate the dollar change and the percentage change. and you make a decision as to whether that trend is a favorable, unfavorable, or neutral. So that's kind of like being in the elevator and me asking you, hey, did the Mariners win last night? And you say yes, and then you're giving me some key points of how they played. So I want that elevator favorable. It was a great game. You know, the company's trends are going up, the company's trends are going down, and then the numeric evidence of the change and the growth rates. So, but you'll have it in the solutions. I'll have a sample essay in there.
Thank you.
So here's the accounting equation problems. It's really understanding how this works. Assets equals liabilities. Stockholders' equity is all these accounts, but we separate them out. Common stock, retained earnings, revenue accounts, expense, and dividends. So it's making sure you know the accounting equation. Assets equals liabilities plus stockholders' equity. If you know assets are 800,000, if you know liabilities are 500,000, the combination, the total stockholders' equity has to be what? And the answers, they will be available, Ava, but not till Monday. So after you've done your homework. Where on campus can we go to print this out? So you can go to the library, and there is also, do you know where the fountain is, Callahan? By the cafeteria. Do you know where that is?
Yeah, I know the fountain.
Perfect. Okay, right on that corner, there's a student computer lab, and I believe they have printers there as well. So I would urge you to print it out, because then you'll get the practice of doing the exam. And some students print it out twice. And here's the deal, and I was telling this to Elena yesterday, a lot of students really like to print the practice exam. Thank you, Divine. That's helpful too. In the in-building, there's a printer as well. Great. Some students print the practice exam out tomorrow, and they just study and memorize the practice exam. And then they get to the exam and they do okay. You're going to pass, no problem. But if I have anything outside the ordinary in the practice exam, it can be very disconcerting. It can be very confusing. So that's why I say start with my PowerPoint, start with the brief exercises, do the account ID, get things done, and then take the practice exam once or twice. And it's just a practice, it's just a sample. It may not have every single problem that you're going to see on the exam. Okay. But it'll get you, and the format is going to be the same, Ava. You asked about format. So it's all pencil work. So for the exam next week, I will be there. We'll all be together. If you can ask any last minute questions, and then you'll take the exam. I allocate 100 minutes, depending on how much you've studied or how much time you've had to study. You might finish a little bit early, and then you just go. And then the following week, usually as early as Monday, I ask you to call in for a quick 5 minutes, and I can go over your test results with you real quick. Divine, you'll come at the regular time, so you don't get to choose your exam time. So let's go look at that. Go back here.
I have a quick question. Will we be allowed a calculator for combining total balances?
Yes, please bring a calculator. I do have some loaner calculators, but no, you don't have to work without a calculator. So Divine, come here under people, and you'll see the exam time there. And let's see, exam 1 on campus, 2:30 to 4:30, room C208. Okay. And I have a bunch of students who have not acknowledged that, including you, Divine. So this is just, because it's a little different, I ask everybody to, let's say, message all unassigned students. Please sign up for the on-campus exam to acknowledge you understand where and when it is. All right. So if anybody in this room, nope, you're all You're all good except for Divine and Divine, hopefully you'll get that resolved. Okay. All right. We got one more chat. What does it say? Is TI 84? No, because it's programmable, but you can borrow one of my calculators, Yelena. All right, guys, any last questions? Hope you have a good week and I will see you. I'll be around. Today is Tuesday. I'll be around tomorrow at 11 to 12 online. So if you need me for more questions then. And if you have any last minute Monopoly questions, drop by. You don't need an appointment, 11 to 12 online. I won't be on campus, I'll just be on Zoom. So,
Thank you.
all right, you guys, thanks for coming. See you later.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Sorry,
Bye.
I had a really quick question.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I have a TI 84, but I also have a TI 30. Would a TI 30 be allowed?
Can you program it? I prefer no programming ones.
I don't think there's any like graphing capabilities at all.
Bring it. If I don't like it, I will give you a loaner.
Okay, thank you so
I- I
much.